some of you know me. But my name is Meg Thompson, and I am a certified behavioral consultant and family coach that works with children, families, and adults. So I hang out with the kids that are hard. The kids that throw chairs, swear, strip naked, pee on the floor. My kids. Yep, those are my kids. And I feel like in this field we do a lot of things that are hard for these kids and are we don't want to do, but we're told to do them. So, and it centers around discipline. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. We are also, this will not be boring. Anybody come for a boring one? You know what? That's why you're going to get a concussion up on the floor.
Looking for excitement.
Yeah. It's not going to be boring. I'm going to tell a lot of stories because it's video and I'm not going to say bad words. But I sometimes say, right, I sometimes say bad words. So I'm not going to try really hard not to do that. And so you know, as we go through, I was not born with the ducks in a row. I don't have ducks, I don't have a row in my brain, I have squirrels, and they're drunk. So know that when I tell you stories, I'm going to get to the story and be like, what was I talking about again? And I'm going to forget. So listen, right, because I'm going to need you to cue me back, because I have, anybody else have squirrels? So squirrels in a brain looks like this. And I try really hard to send them out to bring back ducks. Never. I've never gotten a duck. My duck has never been line leader. Ever. Ever. My squirrel is always line leader. So we're talking about, oh, this is a fancy name, moving beyond rewards, punishments, to choice and appropriate consequences. So in this field, we do a lot of ignoring behavior. And people in my field, I am non-traditional in behavior, but people in my field will say, right, I had one teacher in a school that I got called in for because this little boy spit at the table. He would sit and go, and I was like, well, okay, so I wasn't the first behavior person in there. I was the second or third. And they said, so what were you told to do? Ignore it. And I was thinking, all right, I'll do it. It's not going to work, but, right, I want her to find out for herself, so she, little boy sitting at the table, everybody's on the other side of him, and they're eating, and he goes, and I looked at her, because I already know what's going on, and she said, ignore it. Okay. So we just looked at the ceiling, and we ignored it. He got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until he basically hucked a loogie at her. Like, right on her face like this, went down her face like this, and I was like, oh. And it was like a cartoon. She was red, and then when she was so mad, she's like, I have to leave the room. And she laughed, and I was the only one in the room, which I don't think I'm allowed to be in the room. I am allowed to be in the room, but I think like state licensing says I'm not allowed to be in the room. So I'm by myself with these kids, and she was so mad. And she came back in and she said, what do we do? And I said, I'm a little sassy. And I said, let's not ignore the behavior. And she looked at me like, so ignoring behavior is a very, very, very small strategy in the behavior world. It is not one that we are going to use for most children. So have you ever seen children that when you ignore the behavior, what most of the time happens?
It gets worse.
It gets worse. And for me, if I was to say something looking to get your attention, looking for you to look at me, looking for you to pay attention to me, looking for any of that, and you don't, my temperament is not, oh, you didn't like that? Oh, all right. I'll just sit back down and be quiet. What am I going to do? Oh, I bet if I stand on the table, you'll probably listen to me. Or what if the little boy, when I taught kindergarten in a child care setting for 10 years, so whoever has this classroom, right? Yep. So I had your job for 10 years. And I didn't know behavior then, so I was ignoring. And he got up on the table and goes, how do you like me now? And he was kicking everybody's lunches off the table. We were all like, we don't like you right now. We go, no, And so I had to get him off the table, and all the kids were like, my lunch fell on the floor. And we were just like, it's fine, it's a 5-second rule, buddy. Put it back. We had them eating off the floor because he kicked all the, so I was like, well, ignoring's not working. Then I had this other little boy who, he was really mad at you. He was from Virginia, so he had that twang, southern twang, and he goes, If he was mad, he goes, big head. Called you a big head. And I was like, all right. So every hour he was on a sticker chart. Every hour we had to sit down with him and say if he earned a sticker or not. And I've seen that blow up so everywhere. And I feel like if you're calling me in, if you want me to come in and help you, how many people think they're smart enough to do stickers right now? Right now without any help. How many people think they could do rows and columns, go to the dollar store and buy stickers, and figure it out? Right? Could you figure it out?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Because you're smart and you're educated. What if you needed help and I came in? And I was like, you know what we should do here? Stickers. I would hit you. I'd be like, I already did stickers. Because that's where we go. We already do stickers. And at some point, that kid's going to the school supply aisle in the dollar store, because that's our favorite spot, and walking down and be like, oh, I've been working for those Spider-Man stickers at school. Are you kidding me? They're right there and they're $1 and I can get a 300? What do you think they're going to do? Mommy, can I have the Spider-Man stickers? And the mom says what? Sure, you sure can. So then, what's happening? No good, right? I already have 300 of those at home. I already used them. Done. And what does a sticker chart look like when you're 15? Ponies, helicopters, money, right? It's no longer stickers, right? We want to teach children to be intrinsically motivated, which means we have to have our two best friends, which are time and patience. We have to, everybody's imperfect. Anybody still working on some stuff? I'm working on impulsivity, still to this day. I'm 40. When I was little, my power of the pause, so if you have a short power of the pause, a short pause in between what you think and what you do, if there's a really short pause, that's impulsivity. So mine, at 40 years old, at 5, it was like this big. Can you see it? If you shrunk me and made me a 5-year-old, well, I'd be a boy, really. If you shrunk me and made me a 5-year-old boy with ADHD, probably, they would diagnose me with that now. I don't have it, but I know people like, you don't? Maybe. It's almost 6:30, maybe your medicine wore off. I don't, it's my temperament, you see. But at 40, my power of the pause is that big. 35 years I went from this to this. And I'll die at 80 with that. My husband goes around this whole center 5 times. Because he thinks he's got to find his ducks. He names them all, he dresses them all, he grooms them all, he puts them in a row. And I'm just like, what? And I just do it. So everybody's working on something, right? We're all going to die unregulated in areas. I would like someone to teach me, and I didn't even know that I was how people see me until I started doing behavior, so 6 years ago. I didn't know that I'm intense. Anybody see it? How many people in the 4, 5, 7 minutes we've spoken can see the intensity in me? Anybody? Right? 37 and a half years, no idea I had intensity. People call it passion because I think they want to be nice. Oh no, honey, that's just passion. All right, sure, we can call it passion if you want. I didn't know. I thought that how I was, oh, you find me friendly? Come on, I'm friendly. And you know what I got? I'm kind of scared of her. Like I'll go to I'll see people out in public and some people are like, man, and they'll come see me, and other people are like this. Is she gone? Did she see me back here? Because they're thinking, oh gosh, she's probably gonna jump up on the table and do a cartwheel and yell my name. And so I didn't know for 37 and a half years I was intense. I know now, but I didn't. But imagine when I was 5. I was like this when I was 5, when I was 4, when I was 10, when I was 12. I used to play that game. I'm probably aging myself. Helicopter, helicopter, touch the ground. Helicopter, helicopter. No. Helicopter, helicopter, please come down. Helicopter, helicopter, touch the ground. If you're wearing a color, and then you take the jump and go like this, and you had to jump over it. And if you missed, you were the helicopter in the middle. People would line up to play, and I'd be like, I don't like you. You're out. I was mean. And I would never do that now, but I'm thinking like, I was never on a sticker chart, but that would have been something you'd put me on a sticker chart for because it's rude. But I didn't. And I don't do that now. I like people. I want you all to be my friends. You noticed that my email and phone number are on your handout? 'Cause I want you to be my friends. And send me the poop emoji, because I think that's funny. In this field, I feel like if you don't have humor, you are really going to have a hard time. Anybody know people in this field that didn't have humor and didn't last very long?
Yeah.
I had a woman one time, I said, is everybody okay if I say bad words? And anybody have a problem with that? And one girl raised her hand, but she was kidding. Another woman raised her hand and she was serious. And I was like, oh, nobody now likes you because I was hired because I was funny and said bad words. So at the end, she came up to me and she said, oh, I thought I wasn't going to like you. And first of all, why would you say that? That's not nice. And I was very honest about liking to be liked. I have a hard time if you didn't like me. If you thought you got nothing out of tonight and you wasted from 6 to 8, I'd be mortified. And I'd be really upset about it. And because I want you to get something out of it, I also want you to be not run around and be like, Meg, she's crazy. Well, you could say Meg, she's crazy. That's fine. I think people already know. But I don't want like bad things said about me, and I was very honest about that. So I was like, oh, why wouldn't you like me? And I tried to like use humor to like deflect it. And she goes, well, very serious. So many ducks. She had so many ducks. And she said, well, I don't really like funny people.
Okay.
And I'm thinking like, in my head, well, we're probably not going to be friends then, because I don't know what to do if you're really serious and never laugh, and you're like, oh. But I also wonder, you are playing with 2-year-olds all day. If you don't have humor, they poop in their pants on purpose, even if they're potty trained. Right? And then I told that story at Mass AUIC, and someone came up to me and they went, I worked at that school with that teacher. I said, oh, how's she doing? She doesn't work there anymore. No, stop. So humor, we need humor, right? Everybody? So send me a poop emoji. And everybody says they'll do it. Guess how many? In my 6 years, I've probably gotten 10 poop emojis. Just really sad, because you forget when you leave. And maybe the people in the video will send me a poop emoji. I hope that we're not doing timeouts either. I don't even think that's allowed here. No. Make sure that you're not doing a timeout and calling it something different. So take a break is a strategy, that if Kim was having a hard time, I wouldn't send her away without me going with her. A take a break means I go with her, and I help her, and I sit close, and I try to problem solve or help de-escalate, or sit close by while de-escalating. I had a teacher the other day ask me, so if he's mad, I have to remove him from his friends because he's going to hurt them, yeah? And then I put him over there and I walk away. I said I loved all of it except for the walk away part. You have to stay there with him. She goes, he did de-escalate quicker. Yeah. Some people as an adult, when you're mad and you want to be by yourself, right? Me, I don't want to be by myself. When I'm sick or sad, like, stay with me and hold my hand. I still want someone close. And even kids who don't want you right there with them, they still want you close by because they need help. That's probably why they got in the situation in the first place. That's probably why they're up here, right? So, looking at what do we use for punishment right now? So a lot of parents I know they try to find the thing that the kid's most, that the child loves most and puts it like on the fridge or takes it away. And the parents put all their energy into thinking, what can I take away that will really get this kid? There's no emotional wellness there, right? It's a parent trying to figure out how to put out the child's fire, except they're not doing it in a rude way like that. They're just thinking like, I'm going to show him the consequence of this. And we're going to talk about natural logical consequences, because putting it on the fridge and looking at it, there are some temperaments that no longer like it. Have you seen that? Like, I'm going to take this away and I'm going to put it up here, and then kids are like, I didn't like it anyway. Even if it's their best, favoriteest, bunny, cuddly thing. So do you use punishment? I hope you don't use it here. And I say I hope you don't because some people do in child care centers, and they call it something different, or they say, oh no, we're doing it, and it always has a different name or a different circumstance, and that's you're trying to go around what's happening. So Do you take items or experiences away from his behavior? Do you use, which we should be using, natural, logical, and teaching consequences? Those are the hardest to think of on the spot. So a natural consequence is just, right, it just happens on its own. Logical consequences have to follow the 3 R's, we'll get there. And a teaching consequence is, right, if an 18-month-old goes up the stairs and falls down, the teaching consequence is what? You shouldn't go up the stairs when you don't have the skills. So you don't have to then punish them. They already got punished falling down the stairs. Right? The consequence was already that I fell down the stairs. So you say, whoa, buddy, that was tough. Mommy was hoping that wasn't going to happen. Let's stay away from the stairs. Instead of, I told you, if you went up the stairs and you fell, it's going to hurt. And then he's thinking like, I know, already happened. So my husband's like that. Like if my husband makes a mistake, I don't need to say, hon, come on. And he'll go, I know already. Okay. He already knows the teaching consequences. So, are we teaching skills and meeting needs? The reason I ask that is 98% of the time challenging behaviors are a lack of skill or an unmet need. It's me not knowing, right? My lack of skill was I did not know how you saw me. I thought you saw me as fun and friendly. I did not know you saw me as intense and intimidating. When I got intimidating, I was like, really? I talk about poop a lot. And I have squirrels that live in my head that go all the time. Like, I really think I'm not intimidating, but if you get me somewhere where you're not doing right by a child, I will come out mama bear in a professional way, and I have to change my brain to professional because in a personal way, I don't like confrontation. Anybody not like confrontation? Yeah, right? Run away like, oh, there it is, I'm gonna go that way. And personally, I don't like it. Professionally, I have to give a lot of hard messages. And I try to do it through humor, and I try to do it lighthearted. But then sometimes the message is then seen as funny, and so I have to sometimes come down harder than I'd like, for sure. So, what's the lack of skill for the kid? What do they not know how to do? Right? Do they not know how to sit in circle? Do they not know how to be angry appropriately? Do they not know how to modulate their emotions? Do they not know what else to do when they're mad besides hit? Do they not know all these things? Or is it an unmet need? So I went to a school with a little boy, and he was getting in trouble for 3 things. Let's see if I can remember them. I remember 2 right now. Helping was one. So he wanted to help. His need, so the way he shows and receives love, his love language is helping, is service. So he wanted to help. He was getting in trouble for that, but that's a need. He was getting in trouble for moving. He would sit like this. So his knee was on his calf and like bounce instead of a chair. And they always told him to sit down. I was like, why? He's fine. And he also wanted to communicate. So he was an outside thinker. Anybody? An external thinker. So when you hear something, you need to then do it or say it or talk to somebody about it. All 3 of those were his needs. So then at the end, they said, oh, we had a very good day. And he had known me from being in his house, so I thought, oh, this could go poorly. And he would just look at me. He was in a reading group, and he looked at me and went like this. The reading group was the worst reading group I've ever seen. It was the teacher chanting something, and they had to repeat the chant to read. And I was like, no. And he just looked at me, and he was like, made a face and put a thumbs down. I was like, I got you, bud, I got you. So the person in charge of behavior at the school came up to me, and she said, yeah, so what'd you think? I said, oh, well, I think the 3 things that he kept getting talked to about are needs. And she said, tell me more. And I said, well, it's movement, helping, and communication. And those are needs for him, so I think that we have to figure out how to meet those needs. And she looked at me and said, well, his mom will have to talk to somebody about getting an IEP or a 504. And I just like, in my head I was like, does not register. I don't understand what you mean. Like, what? Why? And because I was like, so to get his needs met, met here in this school, he needs to get an IEP or a 504? And she was like, yeah. I said, oh, okay. And the mom who had hired me to go in said, give her all the golden nuggets. And I was just like, I was trying, but I was just like, you don't even meet the kids' needs, their needs. And you find them challenging because the needs aren't met. And so until the needs are met, what happens? Yeah, he's gonna keep going for the needs. He's gonna keep moving. He's gonna keep talking. He's gonna keep helping. And I was like, now, you can't teach him when to help. Instead, he just can't help. But I said, that's bigger than not helping. It's bigger than that. It's him thinking, I can't help, but that's how I show that I love you and I care for you and I love that we're in school together and you're my friend. So now I can't do that to anybody. So what does he think? In his brain, in his heart, in his body, it's, oh, I'm not loved here and I can't do the stuff that makes other people love me. That's sad. And then I had to talk to the mom and told her this, and she cried, and then I had to talk to the dad because the mom couldn't tell the dad. I had to call the dad and do the whole story all over again because the mom was so upset. Which is ridiculous because it's a need, right? How many people think they have needs? Right? And what if people knew him and been like, no. If you get a pay cut, you could have it. Why? Why would that be a thing? Like, and if you're calling kids needy, what do we have to do? You've given yourself a job to meet the need. So attention is the one I get a lot. Oh, he needs attention. That kid needs attention. So I get that because I was that kid. I don't know how many times I said, Mom, watch! Mom, watch! I don't know how many backflips she saw me do off the side of a pool. Probably 4.7 million. Every time. And she got bigger and bigger sunglasses because I think she'd be like, oh yeah! She was either sleeping or reading something, but the sunglasses, I couldn't tell. She just had her face kind of aimed at me. So I thought she was watching my backflips. Yeah, oh, sea squirrels. I don't even know where that was going. This is where we're supposed to be paying attention. Meet needs, right? Was that a need? Oh, yeah. So attention. I got there. The squirrel came back around. So attention is a need I see a lot of. So are we engaging in conversation with kids being like, you know what? You like to have me next to you. And I get it. I have a lot of other kids, so I'm going to try really hard. When I'm walking around the classroom and I'm straightening out books, I'm going to say, oh, I know. I got to go see, what's your name?
Nick.
I got to go see Nick, because Nick really likes when I'm close by. And I'm like, and I'm going to try to do that as much as I can. And at the end of the day, or that before we go out, you tell me if it's been enough for you. And then if it hasn't, I'm going to try more. And then at some point, it will probably be enough. And we're going to see, right? People aren't having that conversation. If you're in this classroom, you can have a conversation. I've had conversations with our 2-year-olds. Just say, like, I'm trying, buddy. I'm trying. I'm here. I'm over here. And I had one little boy who his need was, for you, well, we thought his need was helping. And he had a very traumatic background, so he was kept in his crib for a long period of time without, and he would scream and scream and scream and scream and scream and cry, and nobody would come get him. So he thought he had to scream and scream and scream and scream and cry when he was 4 to get someone to come over. So he had his snow pants on backwards. You like that when they have it on backwards and the zips this way? It's my favorite. But he had them on, he goes, I need help! And I'm thinking, to turn them around? No, he didn't care if we turned them around. He said, no, I need help to zip them. And I was like, you can zip them, bud. Just go like this. Right? Because the bib ended like right here. And he was like, but I can't. And I said, oh, I think you need company. I don't know if you need help. Do you want company? Do you just want me to be right here next to you? Like, you put on your snow stuff and I'll just sit like this next to you. And he said, okay. So I have been in that school now 5 or 6 times, and when he sees me on the playground, he goes, Meg! And I was like, Gabba, what's up? He goes, I'd like some company. Oh. So I walk over, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm there for him anyway, so I should probably be keeping him company regardless, but he doesn't know I'm there for him, right? But he uses it now, like, I need company. All right, sure. All right, I zipped all the coats and put on the boots and everything while squatting next to this little boy. I was like, if you need help with your zipping coat, come on over. We're gonna keep him company and I'll help you. But he knows he wants company. And right now he's looking at relationships differently, that you just ask for company and someone will come. My son today did the same thing up the stairs. I said, bud, you just gotta go get socks. And my son, anybody have a kid like this? Like this all the time. Mommy, I just want to be with you all the time. Okay. Like, I just want to be by myself for a minute. I just want to for a minute. Sometimes I pretend I have to pee just to go in the bathroom and do nothing. Not even go to the bathroom. So he goes, but mommy, I want company. And I was like, okay, bud, come on. Because I'm thinking like, oh, that's a strategy we taught you. We taught you to ask for company, and you did, and now I don't want to. Which, right? Because I had no other reason except I don't want to go up the stairs. That's not something we can say. So, 98% of the time, challenging behaviors are a lack of skill and an unmet need. So remember, when there's challenging behaviors, what's the need, what's the skill? Teach the skill, meet the need. And then what? Time and patience. Right? Because everybody was looking for the quick fix. Everybody. Parents, teachers, in general. We're looking for the quickest fix. I have one. Everybody's always on their seat like, what is it? Tell me what it is. Anybody want to guess? What do you think it is? What do you think my quick fix is? I have one. I do. What do you think?
Stop thinking it's a quick fix.
No, nope, that's the first time I've heard that one. It's not quick. Anyone?
Time.
So, what?
Time.
No. I always get people who say such nice things like kindness, love, patience. Yeah, those are great strategies.
Walk away.
Right? Which is good, right? Sometimes you have to walk away. You can't put kids in timeout. You can put yourself in timeout. It's best with something yummy to drink, but you can. Okay, so here's the hint. It's not nice. Yelling. You get fired.
Commitment.
You get fired if you did it. And you can't work anywhere else again ever.
Physical abuse?
Hurting. That's the quick fix. Everybody, right? I come in and people are like, tell me what to do. All right. Well, you can't do the quick fix, and they're like, why not? Because the quick fix is corporal punishment. It's hurting the kids. And then they listen to you out of what?
Fear.
Fear, because they're so scared of you, like, oh my gosh. What? Okay. Do what she says because she hits and hurts. First of all, we can't do that. Second of all, we don't work with kids. We attract a lot of the nurturing adults that work with kids. Our brain doesn't even go there. No one has guessed it without a hint. Because we're all like, pick all the really nice, kind strategies. So the quick fix is hurting. And then I think right under that is, right, yelling. And then I think there's sticker charts and reward systems and pom-pom jars and all that stuff that we do. And it doesn't get us anywhere. Because time and patience, we have to know that kids need time. It took me how long to get this far with my Power of the Pause? 35 years. If someone gave up on me, would you ever give up on a kid who could not read? Would you keep doing it, right? Wouldn't you like look at YouTube and figure out, get new books, you would extra time, maybe suggest a tutor, go to Sylvan Learning Center or Kumon or Cumin, I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah, whatever. Right, but you would figure that out, right? But the minute it's, I get mad and I don't know how to get mad appropriately, we're like, and sticker chart or quick fix and done. And that's not the way it can go. I've never had anybody really happy with sticker charts or ignoring behavior or reward systems or punishment. People doing it or people receiving it. Would anybody like me to put them on a sticker chart? What if you were late every morning for whatever reason? Because you always left too late and you got stuck in traffic. And Jessica, is that what her name is? Yeah. Jessica would say, okay, if you come in the morning and you're on time, you get a sticker. And 5 stickers ruined you iPad time. And people are like, not doing any of that. It's ridiculous. So before we go any further, let's talk about when your brain is mad, when your brain is in an emotion. If it's happy, if it's sad, if it's mad, if it's afraid. Know that those are the only four we're teaching kids until, right, kids leave here at 6-ish? 5-ish, 6-ish? So only happy, sad, mad, and afraid. So when they have that emotion, they are in their emotional brain. I am so mad right now because you took my blue train, and I wanted the blue train, and I'm so mad. So I'm emotional, and I think what? Get the blue train by hitting or pushing or kicking or knocking down. The logical brain would have thought, if I do that, what happens? Who's in trouble? Me. I didn't think of cause and effect. I'm now not going to get the blue train. I'm going to have to leave the trains. I'm not going to be able to go there all day. That got taken, right? But can you be emotional and logical at the same time? Never. Your brain can't do both. It's physiologically impossible. So when kids are mad, know that they're mad and they're emotional. Until what? The habit forms to be logical first. So I know how to stop myself from talking and getting myself into trouble now at 40. At 35, I wasn't that good at it, I'm not gonna lie. That was only 5 years ago. Because I would say things and my husband would look at me and be like, you can't say that. And I was like, why? And then he'd tell me and I thought, oh, I didn't even occur to me that that would happen. And he was like, why? Because my power of the pause is this long. So I didn't do cause and effect, right? Impulsivity means I act first and think later. But as a 40-year-old, I know that saying something and hurting your feelings is hard to then, now I have to make you feel better. And sometimes you don't feel better, right? If I say something bad enough, you'd be like, right, like, so then it's just easier if I don't say it, and I think it in my inside thoughts. I don't have a lot of inside thoughts. My inside thoughts are outside thoughts. So I have to the way, you know how I stopped it? I challenged myself not to do it. I said, I bet you can't, because I am in all sorts of challenges. If you were like truth or dare, I'd be like, oh, fine, I'll play. So I would challenge myself. I challenge myself to say, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. And if you don't say that, I would give myself an incentive. Like, if you don't say that, you get to go to Dunkin' Donuts on the way home and get a donut. A donut's always a donut. If I might come in early to work if I got donuts every day. Oh no, until the donut's right or not for me. Then it would have to be, I don't know, vodka and tonic, but you can't have that at work. Not allowed to have that when you come in. No, right? Bummer. So know that you can be emotional or logical. To get to the logical brain, it has to be a habit, which means you have to practice a lot, right? Like years and years and years, right? I worked on it for 35 years. And I didn't get it till I understood behavior. And then I was like, oh, I'm too much for people. Darn. If you consider your classroom or your home inclusive, watch out for excluding others. So if you're like, everybody's welcome here, we're all welcome, we're all different, we love you all, you're having a hard time, go. And I'm going to leave you somewhere. Go to the peace table right now. The peace table's time out. There's a peace table, it's a reflection chair, it's a thinking stump, a body break chair, saw that one. I was like, I think that's a bad name. It's a place where your body takes a break, but they called it a body break chair. And it was wooden, and it was in the corner, and it had a sign with an arrow. Stop it. I was like, they're going to pick that up. If you send an emotional kid over there, he's going to pick it up and throw it at you. Because he's over there because when he's mad, he throws things. Why'd you give him that? If you're going to have a place, and I don't agree with that at all, but I mean, at least make it a beanbag because you're going to get hit with it. Make it a wooden chair. Jeez. So watch out for excluding others when you say you're inclusive. And I know, right, Bright Horizons is inclusive, yes? Yes. So then we have to make sure, and what's excluding others mean? You're having a hard time, so we're going to take you to the office as punishment. That's excluding. We're going to remove you from the classroom and take a walk, which is awesome if you do it the right way, yeah? Like, whoa, you know what? Sometimes when I'm mad, I like to shake it off and move, because When I'm mad, it comes out of my body, and sometimes I need to take a walk. You want to come with me? Let's see if it works. That's okay. We are taking a walk, and I've seen it where you hold the kid here, or hold the kid here. I don't want to hold your hand. They're trying to like get away from you, and you're like, no, we're taking a walk. And the kids are like, oh, what's wrong with you? You're so mad at me. I've seen it both ways. The first way is the way that would work, right? When I'm emotional, I want to hit still to this day. I'm 40, I still want to hit. Can I? No, that makes it for a bad behavior consultant if you hit. And if you don't, and if I can't hit, what's the next thing I want to do? Say the F word. Can't say that either. But I want to. And anybody, when you say it, it's just like, no one else, just me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, right? Like, oh! And if you ever see me talking to somebody like this, it's because I want to hit them. Or like this. Or if I'm like, so Nick, how are you? And I'm like leaning, it's because I'm like, it's almost never children. It's the adults that I'm like, why? Why would you do that or say that? Ooh. Oh, time and patience are your greatest tools. Know that you're going to teach the skills and meet the needs, and then you just have to wait. You have to wait for it to work. And I can't make it go any faster and keep emotional wellness at the forefront of the child's thought. So we are all born with a roaring campfire, right? In our brains. We don't want it to be this big. We also don't want it to be out. We have to figure out how we can keep that roaring campfire and time and patience. Like all schools, I'm sure you see the push-down curriculum, that now through 2 they have to do STEM and learn their letters, and I'm like, oh, they're pooping in a diaper. People are like, how do you do STEM with 2-year-olds? Show them their poop when you take their diaper off. That's science. Came out of your body. Talk about the digestive system as you're going.
Yeah.
Right? So I see that push down curriculum, and it makes it so time and patience is hard. Because we have to get all this done, and we have to hurry, and we have to... And then there are parents that want, like, he can't write his name yet. No, he's 3.
Yeah.
He doesn't know his letters yet. No, my son Brendan knew B for like, I don't know, 2 years. That's the only letter he cared about. And what did a B look like this? It looked like an 18. And then as he went, it got closer. And now it looks like, kind of like that. But it took him a long time to learn that. And my view is kids will go to college, most kids, like most meaning like 99% of kids will go to college learning to read, yeah? Unless there's a significant delay going on, or they didn't have the experiences or a school that could teach them, right? For some reason, they were not taught how to read. Could you get to college and not be a good friend? Yeah. Could you get to college and be mean? Could you go to college and be emotionally unsafe? Yeah. I rarely see people in college or of college age not know how to read. Some don't know how to read well, right? Comprehension, not my thing. Why? Because my squirrels try to read too fast, and then when it's like, then I have the questions and I have to answer them, my squirrels go out to get the ducks, and the ducks are nowhere to be found. So then my squirrels are answering the questions, and I don't know like that. I don't know. I just pick things, right? Would anybody do that now on the standardized test? I just pick stuff. If it was long, like this, I'd be like, do A, C. I wouldn't. I can't. I still, at 40, can't do it. So if people feel like they've lost control, they'll find a way to get their power back. Yeah, you think? And how are they getting their power back? In a positive way? No. Inappropriately. Right? I always say power comes in 2 forms. Like Martin Luther King Jr. had a lot of power, yeah? Hitler also had a lot of power. Which one are you picking?
Okay.
Right, Martin Luther King Jr. That is a different set of skills than Hitler. But if you're losing your power and you need to regain it, you see a lot of kids go towards the inappropriate side because they feel like they're lost and they're grabbing at straws. When you have kids grabbing at straws and the straws are power, you're going to get it inappropriately. Almost always. Being someone who can influence others is the greatest strength in building relationships. So relationships, if you were to think of a strategy, what am I going to do with all these challenging kids? Do we have challenging kids? I can't imagine you don't. It'd be weird if you didn't, because I don't think they make them non-challenging anymore. Well, they make them non-challenging. In our education system is making them more challenging, I think. So, squirrels building relationships, holy moly. So, if you're thinking, what's the strategy? What's the one strategy I'm going to do tomorrow, starting tomorrow? If you have a kid that's hard for you, start building the relationship. You could go home and do curriculum. You could go home and buy things and make things pretty and rearrange the classroom. But if that kid does not see you as someone who is sharing power with him and is going to be influential to him or her, it's not going to work. So what do you do with a kid that's hard? I had a friend that said her mom owns a child care center in her home. It's a family child care. And there was this one little girl that was so hard for everybody. And my friend said, you know what? I'm going to be the one. So when all of you are tired of this little girl, I'm going to build a relationship so strong with her, and I'm going to work really hard at it. I'm going to put all my eggs in that basket, and I'm going to do it. And she said, and it is amazing to see this little girl when she's hurt, when she's upset, when she's emotional, when she's angry, she always goes to my friend now. Where she used to hit kids, but now she comes and finds my friend too. Is still sometimes mad, sometimes hurts her, but still, she will listen because my friend put all of her eggs in that basket, like, I am going to be the one. And that's what I think the reason I got out of teaching and was with kids, because I'm really good at building relationships. I cheated my way out of geometry, anybody? Cheated my way out of chemistry, cheated my way out of astronomy. How did I do it? Through relationships. There were two boys in chemistry and astronomy that wanted to be my partners. And I was like, yes, you could be my partner. Because you're smart and I'm going to cheat off you. And geometry, I cheated off the teacher. Because he left his answers on the side of his, like this. He left them right, like this. I just wanted to ask questions and all the answers were on the sheet. And then I wrote it down. And if you have the answer, you know how to make the work, right? You have to show your work. Well, I already know the answer. I can show my work. Because I already have the answer and I have the numbers and I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide until they get to whatever answer you told me was right. I'm that smart, I guess. So, building relationships. Enter into a different relationship with that kid that's hard for you. Know that we are the ones who put the kids in the bad kid bubble. Right? Do you know the kid that gets scapegoated? Like, oh, Kim did it. I'm like, Kim's not even here. She's not even here. She's at home. Right? Or she's outside and no, not a thing. Oh, her name's Kim too, sorry. Is your name also? Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. She's also Kim, behind the camera.
We're the troublemakers.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh no, I bet I'm the most troublemaker in this whole thing. Oh yeah? Want to duel?
I'm down with it.
Okay. I'm not a troublemaking adult, but as a kid I was a little tricky. So relationships. Know that conflict happens. We're going to enter, maintain, and exit it well. Know that there are going to be problems. We're going to have to solve the problems. There's going to be issues and conflicts. Make sure right, we're supposed to leave our baggage at the door? Yeah? How hard is that? Anybody have kids? So you get your kids off to school and they were a pain in the neck and you're thinking, right, you get here and you're like, ah! And then there's kids with challenging behaviors. You gotta know to be like, and I'm out. When I taught kindergarten, we used to say, I gotta go move my car. And the other teacher would say, okay. And we'd go downstairs, get in our car, turn it on, and we'd be like, ah! We just drive around. You could see us like, Oh, kindergarten teachers are mad. They would just drive around the parking lot and then get back and be like, and then you'd see us all like, okay, going back upstairs. But it's hard to leave your baggage at the door. So if you're not able to enter it, don't. Find help. Because then you have to maintain and exit it. And you can't just be like, ah! Like, and then the kid's like, what is going on? So if you enter it, how long, do you know how long you can maintain it? Meaning, what's your hot button? My hot button's whining. If I enter and you start whining, I have to gracefully be like, whoop, 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 Nick, you're in, whoop. Or I enter it, I'm really, right, my line is now firm and neutral, and I'm telling you that this is not allowed in the classroom, and this. And the kid's laughing at you, how many people? Hot button. Like, I am so mad right now, and I'm trying so hard to keep it cool and maintain this, and exit. Nick, you're back in. Like, so, you have to know what your limits are. We all have limits, except what happens in early childhood. We have to be what? Patient and kind all the time, and not have angry feelings. Right? That's hard. That's really hard, and we need to know to be like, I can't, I'm trying, I'm really trying. Because, right, if we go in and we don't know what our limitations are, we're going to do what?
Fail.
Fail and make it worse. And then I'm going to pass it off to Nick, and Nick can't do anything because I made it so hard for this kid. Whispers turn into yelling if you're not paying close attention. So what does that mean? I was in a public school in a kindergarten class, and there was a little boy that I got called in for who was on the ceiling. It was a public school, and it was old, so he climbed up the pipes on the wall and ended on the ceiling. And I walked in, and I was like, where is he? And they said, look up, and I was like, dude! Huh? What are you doing up there? Wow. So, I got him down, and we went in our little room that we were going to go in to talk about what was happening. And he said, you know what? My classroom is too tight. And my teacher is too loud. And you know what? I just want to go in the loft and I can't. Oh. And I said, did you tell anybody that? Yeah, but no one listened. What is that? It's a whisper. He used to come in. So I went in and observed after he was found on the ceiling. I went in and observed, and he'd come in and he was like, oh, it's just so tight in here. And everybody was at a table and they were all like squished together. And he just needed like more room. And the teacher was loud like me, but she didn't know that she was loud. And no, that I didn't know. For a long time I was loud. And I talked too much. Same thing. I saw myself in this teacher, and I thought, yeah, I like you. You are really overwhelming him. As I would if I didn't know to like put my calm suit on. And I can put my calm suit on because I had a teacher one time say, I think you and I are a lot alike. It was not true. And she said, you and I are both so, what are the words? Peaceful and tranquil. Do I glow peaceful and tranquil? No! Not even a little bit. But I can look that way because I get kids like that who I would be too much for. And I'm only going to make it worse, right? So, his whispers, I saw them. He said it was too tight. He got work, and he had to do double the work that everybody else did because he got 4 worksheets instead of 2 worksheets. And he was telling his friends, he's like, I got 2 of these. And the friends were like, I don't know, because they're 5. They don't know why he got 2. So he did them twice. Oh, and then, no. Right? Well, they were worksheets, so they were dumb anyway. And then the teacher was too loud and you could see him. He must have been told, he was on a sticker chart too, he must have been told not to block his ears. So he was like trying to scratch his face, like to try to cover his ears but not make it look like he was covering ears. Being like, I'm just itchy right here, on this side and on this side, right around my ears, so I'm going to just rub them. And then I was up in the loft that he was talking about when he was caught dangling from the ceiling. And I said, and I was on the loft, and he walks by and he goes, I like that loft. Oh. And I said, come on up, bud. There's books up here. Come up here and read. No, we're not allowed in the loft. Why? that's only for reading time. Why? Why? I don't understand. Like, why don't you have it pretty often in your classroom and then not be able to use it when you've already showed 3 whispers? So what did he do? He shouted, right? But the shout isn't like, I'm having a hard time. It's, I'm going to go on the ceiling and throw F-bombs, which was amazing when you're in behavior. Because the teacher offered him stickers. And guess what happened? He said, I don't want your stickers. 4 times. Because she offered him 4 stickers. Like, what do you think on the 4th one he'd be like, oh, 4 stickers?
Right.
Yes. Well, come down. So he threw the F-bomb 4 times. And the whole time I was like, if you hear me do, anybody do yoga? Ujjayi breath? Go like this. I'm either trying not to cry or I'm trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
And I want to laugh because I thought, because in this kid's brain, what is he thinking? I am having a really tough time here, really tough time. And I've told you I've had a tough time the way I know how when I'm 5.
Right.
And nobody paid attention to me. And now I'm so mad, and now what's gonna happen? All you got is a sticker! You have stickers, that's it! That's what you got! Did you go to school? Come on, all you have is stickers? I swear that he would not have said it in that way, but you could see in his brain he was like, really, 4 stickers, that's all you have? I am having a hard time, I'm on the ceiling! You have stickers? I think he wanted to like smack us, and I don't blame him. Like, I'm having a tough time, and you have sparkle smiley face stickers. Think about how ridiculous that is. I told you the way I know how, and you got stickers. Oh, I got one more. People who hurt. If you are a person who hurts, and you are a person who is having a hard time, is it easy for you to be nice to others and be kind to others?
No.
Not for an extended period of time. So know that if kids are hurting, so I work with a lot of kids with traumatic backgrounds, and the teachers or the parents will say like, oh, all they do is hurt all day long. Because that's what they're feeling. So what has to happen, right? We have to grow empathy, we have to say, you're welcome here, we love you, do all the things we just talked about. And then we just have to, right, form that attachment, have that relationship. Like with that little boy who now asks for company. I said, does he do it when I'm not here? They said, sometimes. But when I go there, what happens? Immediately, Meg! Mm-hmm. And then, and if I walk in his classroom and I can't see him, he goes, whoop, right here. I was like, bud, how are ya? You gonna keep me company? Well, I sure am. Yeah, what do you want to do? He's like, well, I'm over here reading a book. You could sing with me and read it because I don't really know how. Oh, all right, I'll do that. All right, I mean, he knows. And the teacher's like, he doesn't really use that with us. Did somebody go up and say, when you need us, we'll keep you company? And they were like, no, we didn't say that. We just thought he would transfer it. He's 4. He's not going to transfer. You got to be pretty open about that. So I said, you know what, I can keep you company, but so can these 2 other teachers can keep you company. And they're like, oh, okay, he's using it more now. And I was like, maybe that's not the thing with them, right? Maybe it's not company with them. Maybe it's another strategy that they haven't thought of yet. So know the developmental norms. So we're asking kids with this push-down curriculum that, we're asking them to do a lot. So the developmental norms, so if we give an adult directive to a 3-year-old, how often do they follow through?
60 to 70% of the time.
Look at you. You could have all answered it right here. 60 to 70% of the time. So if you have who's the 3-year-old teacher? Are they here? Right? And you're thinking, they listen to me about half the time. You're doing it. Yes. And 4-year-olds, 70 to 80%. 5-year-olds are 80 to 90%. 6 years old, all the way to adulthood is 90% of the time. It's never all the time. We do not want children to listen to us all the time. That 10% can be dangerous, right? All the abuses fit into there. Physical, emotional, verbal, and sexual abuse falls into that 10%. I don't really want to do what you're saying, but I know that I have to follow through, so I will. That's awful. It also doesn't give the child any say in, nah, that's not gonna really work for me. I'd like to, can we talk about doing something else? No, that's not how a 2-year-old would say it. It could be how a 5-year-old says it. It's the little girl that came up to me and I was like, okay, everybody, let's get dressed to go outside. And we put their stuff all like in a pile. And everybody was kind of close together. And she would just stand there like this. And I could have said, Lydia, get dressed. Get dressed. Come on, we have to go outside. Get dressed. And I went up to her and I said, Lydia, what's going on? She was like, tears. And I was like, oh man. I was like, what's going on? Like, obviously, I'm thinking you're sad if you're crying. She was like, yes. And I said, are you overwhelmed? Well, why is everybody so close and they're loud? And so she had the strategy of, can I get dressed first and hang and wait in the quiet area? Or can I get dressed last? She goes, you know how there's somebody who stays up and stays in and like sets up stuff for when you come back in? And kindergarten, when I was a kindergarten teacher, that's what happened. She said, so could I get dressed last? And I promise I'll be fast and I'll go right out. Yeah. And I said, the only thing that I'm concerned about is, she goes, you're going to forget because you're bonkers. Yeah, that is what I was concerned about actually. I said, so you're going to have to remind me. Well, she thought of the strategy. She problem solved it. It was now February, so she had been really overwhelmed since, right, May, putting on her snow stuff. Because, right, no. Okay, I was like, someone. Because we have 9 months of winter.
October, November.
Yeah, right. So she finally, right? And what if I said, no, just put on your snow stuff, right? I'm trying to get her to follow through 100% of the time with me. And she needed that 10% to say, all these people in this space right here of the cubbies is so overwhelming for me that I would rip my hair out. And she didn't know how to say it like that, so she just cried. And I was like, oh. But see how I could have went to 100% of the time. Right? And then instead of being authoritative, I would have been authoritarian. Right? Blind obedience is authoritarian. Like, an authoritarian caregiver is like, I say it, you do it right now, the way I say it, do it immediately, because I said so. Like, yikes. And so I went to authoritative, like, okay, so this isn't working for you. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? What's it going to look like? And she had already thought of strategies. She just needed enough gusto to tell me. And know that she told, can you tell I'm fast-paced? So she went like this. And I'm thinking, in my head, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, just say it. But she was nervous and she thought I was going to be mad. And then I got invited to a birthday party. Oh, that's how you know you win when you're 5 and you get to go to the birthday party. Yeah. So it's never 100% of the time. So know that if you ask and ask and ask and kids are following through, right? Sometimes, is sometimes 90%? Is sometimes 60%? If it's 60% and it's a 6-year-old, you're a little below the developmental norm. So do we need to change our language? Do we need to look what we're asking? Do we need, right? We have a lot of other things we can be doing. Anybody know this name? He lives in Mass, I think. Alfie Cohen? Ooh, he's fabulous. He's great. So he has a book called Unconditional Parenting. And in it there are 12 guiding principles. And I read them and I thought, oh, these are awesome to put your brain in a different place when you're looking at discipline. And if you're interested more in this, I have a podcast. I talk to nobody for an hour. That's what a podcast is. You have to sit and talk to the computer about, I talked about these 12 for an hour. You know how weird that is? It's weird to be up here and you guys do nothing. If you're just looking at me like this. And you don't laugh or smile or giggle or anything. It's really weird on this side. So that's what I did. I have a podcast that does these 12. So if you're looking for more, it comes out August 1st. It's 7, our time. 4 over on that coast, the West Coast. Yeah. So, but I thought they were so important. So I read them in this book and I thought, yeah, these sort of things have to happen in our brain, and to sort of not rewire it, but to just put it in a different place so we can look at discipline and try to fight these. I'm on a sticker chart ban, like trying to get all those things in the past, right? Sticker charts and timeouts came out in the 80s. Why are they still here? There's nobody that I've talked to that is like, yes, they work and they're amazing. Nobody. So first one, be reflective. Be self-reflective. No, remember I didn't know, I was not self-reflective for a long time, but if you asked me, what would I have said? Yeah, I thought I was. But self-reflective means I have to know how I affect you and how I affect you. I know I affect you a lot different than I affect him. I know that. But I didn't know how to like turn myself around and not be so scary to you and be more scary for you. Like, I can go just how I am to you, yeah? Just, right? And there are people that I'm like, nope, Kim, I could go right as I am to her. I think I have to probably, for you, put, like, settle myself down a little, because you're like, you're too much, go away. And I know that about some people, so now I know the self-reflection piece. I'm like, okay, there's a module for self-reflection, that's a whole different workshop. It's called DISC. But it's knowing who you are, and then how you affect others, and how you communicate. It's also the module for challenging behaviors, which is amazing. So you learn both at the same time, which is awesome. Reconsider your request is the second one. Sometimes we ask dumb things. Oh, the little boy that I told you about that had the 3 needs in that school and he needed an IEP. He's in a public school now, and he has we went over the dumb rules that he has to follow in school. I said, tell me about the dumb rules. So one is you can't stand up at lunch. Right? Dumb rule. And you can't turn around in line. I know why they're both made. You can't stand up at lunch because you have 20 minutes and you have to sit and eat your food and focus. It's not his strength. Focus is not really his strength. I get it, it's not mine either. Love him to pieces because he'll do things and I'll be like, yeah, I would have done that. Totally. Like now I would have done that at 40 and you're at 7. And don't turn around in line because what happens? The line goes and I'm talking. So I said, so these are dumb rules. So are they better now? Like as I go in, and he goes, now I know how to do them so nobody catches me. So now we taught him to be what?
Sneaky.
Right, sneaky, passive aggressive, and deceitful, right? And his mom's like, I just want him to do those. And I said, okay. And then I said, but tell me something. When does he learn that they're dumb rules and I'm not going to follow them? Right? I don't follow dumb rules. Right? I have things that I will not sway on. Sticker charts is one of them. I think it's a dumb rule. I think it's a dumb strategy. I will not sway on it. I will ask people if they want my help in something different, but I will not sway on that. For him, like, okay, those are both dumb rules. And the mom's like, can't he just follow them because the teacher said them? Nah, he's taking his 10%. He knows they're dumb. And he just, right, and he gets caught like this. And the line is gone, and the teacher yelled at him. Pay attention! The line is going. I was like, whoa! Where are you going so fast? To learn what? Chill out. Slow your roll. Holy moly. And you don't have to yell at him. He's just talking. It's his need. I get it. Right, no talking in the hallway. That's another one. He's like, that's dumb. I have a lot to say in the hallway. When I see my friends, I was like, oh, I know that too because I got in trouble in kindergarten for that. I got put in timeout and then I peed on my kindergarten teacher. Yeah? It was awesome. I found out she's a 4th grade teacher now, still in the same school district. And I can't believe they still allow her to teach. But anyway. Apparently peeing on her did not make her want to leave education. Made her want to go to older kids so they don't pee on her maybe, I don't know. Keep your eyes on the long-term goals, meaning time and patience. Time and patience are your best friends. Know that the quick fixes are not appropriate. Put relationship first, we talked about that. Best way to get to challenging behaviors is put the relationship first. Change how you see, not just how you act. So kids don't wake up thinking, yeah, ha, I didn't know we did that. Or you think, ooh, I'm going to pee on Miss Judy, can't wait for that. Right? I think even the hardest kids wake up and they think it's going to be a good day. I'm going to be awesome and amazing today. And maybe in 10 minutes they mess up their first original thought. But I don't think that they get up and, if you think that they get up and they're malicious, then it's going to be really hard for you to form a relationship with that kid. Do you agree? You have to wake up and think like, it is going to be a good day and this kid's really going to try and I'm going to see him trying. Meaning, if we were here yesterday and we were here today, that's a little bit of growth, yes? You have to celebrate that growth. Respect, just because they're little doesn't mean they don't deserve big respect. Right? Imagine just because you were younger you got less respect. Who is probably the youngest in here? It's not me. Yeah? How old are you? I want to be 20. So right, because she's younger, does she get less respect?
Probably.
Nicholas.
I just mean not here. Everywhere else, maybe.
But right, I mean, we don't give her less respect. And whoever the oldest is, we're not going to say that. No, look, she raised her hand. She's like, that's me!
It's me! It's like Lena May.
Right. Does she get more respect? Maybe she probably wants more respect, but like then I'm like, whoa, I want the equal amount. And just because she's shorter and younger than me, she gets less respect? Was that ridiculous to think about? But why when kids are shorter and younger than you, they get less respect? Is that true? Right? Sorry. Talk less, ask more. That's, in my house, that is a strategy we use. Ask more questions. Because I don't necessarily know what's going on in your head. But we need to put our shoes on. And I'm like, dude, I can't be late for work. Like, this can't start at 6 and I'm here at 6:30 because I can't get my one kid out of the house and put shoes on. And then he's like, Mommy, I'm trying to brush my teeth good because you told me I had to do that because we're going to the dentist. And I'm like, should I? And he goes, you should have asked more questions. I know.
He says that?
Yes. Because that's a strategy in my house. Don't assume that because he's slow that I know that he's doing it on purpose. Buddy, do you need some more time with something? Because I need to go, so how can I help you? He's like, Mommy, thanks for asking more questions. He also wants to have my job. He's the cutest thing, looks just like me with the dimples.
How old is he?
6. But he wants to work with the Hod kids. So he says.
Aww.
I know. And be a park ranger. I don't know.
That's cool.
I told him about there's things called part-time, so he's going to do both.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right. Okay. But when he was like 4, he wanted to do it when he was 4 too. And I said, so fine. And I go home and tell him stories, right? Leave names out, of course. Confidentiality. And I tell him, and I was like, what would you do at 4? He goes, I'd kick him. So we'll keep talking about it, because you can't do that. Mommy, did you hit him? No, and he's very upset when I get hit a lot, and I get sworn at a lot. And he is really upset when kids hit me. They hit you, Mommy? Yeah, they did, Mom. I just hit him right back. I said, when you work with hard kids, you're not allowed to hit them back, buddy. He looks at me like, I know what I do.
Like, that's a dumb rule.
Yeah, right? Yeah, dumb rule. That's a dumb rule. Keep their ages in mind. Remember what's developmentally appropriate for kids. So 2-year-olds, right, can do these things. They're not expected to do these things. Don't put the expected into they should be, which happens a lot now with that push-down curriculum. Stick your nose in unnecessarily. Here we go. You can take these words out of your vocabulary. It's going to be tricky, and you're probably not going to like me. Don't do them all, because it's like a diet. Remember, if you're on a diet, and you're like, all fruits and vegetables, no more gluten, I'm not going to have any soda, no more alcohol, and you're like, how long are you on that diet? 14 seconds. So, no, stop, don't, can't, and wait. No and stop are for when you get hurt and you were out, or you were going to get hurt and you're going to run out into the road. You go, no, stop! Kids should go like this. And stop. Be like, ooh, she meant it. There's a lot of kids that get no and stop often that I don't know what else you yell when they're unsafe. It would have to be swear words and then you get in trouble. Don't, can't wait. So kids aren't awesome at waiting. How long can a 2-year-old wait? 14 seconds. Maybe. Don't and can't. Certain temperaments. You cannot do that. But touch this one. You don't want me to touch this one? You don't want me, these, you don't want me to touch them and throw them? Right? Well, you can't do that. How many, still to this day, you can't do that. Who do what? Can't do what? You can't, I don't know. You know how many times I asked the state of New Hampshire, like, I know that it says this. What if my poor friend is like, oh gosh. So I fall outside the box. Anybody? I'm not in the traditional box. I feel like that's pretty apparent at this point. I've been talking to you for an hour and a half. Pretty apparent that I'm not traditional. And so being non-traditional, I have to, well, I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes I just apologize. Be like, oh, well, that's, right, I can't work with hard kids and be in a box. Because it's not going to work for them. So I have to know, like, okay, we're going to do this, but don't tell anyone, okay? I just can't. So watch your nose. If you, right, make it a yes environment, which is hard, which is, gotta stop and figure that out. So for my son, right at 5, what does he do at 8 o'clock in the morning and at 5 o'clock at night? Can I have a cookie? Dude, it is 8 o'clock in the morning. No, you can't have a cookie. And then what do I get? And I'm like, and I know it's coming. So then I changed it to, Mommy, can I have a cookie? You sure can at lunch. Let's get the cookie out. We're going to put it right here in a plastic baggie so we don't forget. But it took me a while to get there. I mean, sometimes my husband looks at me and goes, okay, so what if you were the behavior consultant in this house and not the mom? What would you do? Oh, I could just tell him. I'll just rattle it off. And he's like, well then, ding dong, do that. And not whatever you're doing, right? How many people think they're pretty good preschool teachers? Right? And then you have kids, how many people think you're probably a better preschool teacher than a mother some days? Oh, for sure. Like, I am never, my blood can boil on the inside, but you will never see it with kids. I am funny and engaging, but quieter, and I can do that. With my own son, I'm like, dude, let's put on, dude, gosh, dude, I bought you Velcro shoes on purpose. Put them in and Velcro. In and Velcro, let's go. I would never do that to another kid. Ever. But your own, because they're so emotionally close, your head explodes. You know the little emoji with the exploding head? I feel like that 98% of the day. I was at home all day with him, and I'm leaving, he's like, Mommy, where are you going? Are you going out to dinner?
I wish.
All day. I told you I have to work at the end of the day. But he saw my pretty clothes, and he was like, you're going out to dinner without me? I am going to work, buddy. Oh my God. And I would never be, right? And why is he asking? Because he said I'm going to go. I won't see you till tomorrow morning, Mommy. No, bud, you won't. But I don't want you to go. Yeah, I know. I gotta get Kim, and I gotta figure out this video thing. Like, come on, we gotta. I would be so patient with someone. You're a kid. I'd be so patient. My head wants to explode. I don't know. I don't mean it. Anybody with me? Sometimes when I'm with my son, I'm glad it doesn't say certified behavioral consultant on my head. Right? And sometimes I hope I don't see anybody I know, like, oh, geez, they just saw me lose my... Brent coming across the street from the beach, and I have a chair on my back, a chair on my arm, the cooler, and the bag of towels and the bag of sand toys. My son has one boogie board. Mommy, I can't hold the boogie board, I can't, Mama! So I took it out of his hand and I went like this. And he went, oh. And I have all my stuff and I'm like this. And he's like, Mommy, why'd you throw the boogie board? Dude, what? You can't hold one board. Look at all the stuff I have. You couldn't carry one boogie board? If it was your kid, I would have never thrown the boogie board. I would have put all my stuff down. I would have gotten down in the subway. I would have talked to him. My poor son. Maybe that's why he wants to work with kids that are hard, because he's thinking, maybe I can help my mom. Right, and a lot of people, I think that I have it together all the time, and I'm always like, not always, right? We're human. How many people don't have it together all the time? Right? I'd like to know who has it. If you ever find anybody who has it together all the time, I would say call me, but kick them. And then, because I think it's pretend, right? I think people like me because I'm real. Like, no, I'm not. I have parents that say, so you mess up at home too? Yes! Of course course I do. My husband will look at me and be like, really, Meg, that you just said that? Love you, this is, I go to the bath. I have to go pee really bad. And I'm just going to go sit in the bathroom and be like, troll Facebook or I don't know. Sometimes I just play, anybody plays Spider Solitaire? No, I just play that. If you ever saw me, I don't sit on the toilet, I just sit on the floor. I'm like, with my phone. If you ever went in there, you'd be like, what are you doing? It was weird. Don't be rigid. So be flexible in thought and in actions. Flexibility of thought is a huge strategy. Know that if you don't have flexibility, being a preschool teacher of any, when I say preschool teacher, I mean infant, toddler, preschool, kindergarten. Any teacher is going to be hard. Yeah? I need you to do it this way, and I need you to know this by this time, and I need you to hurry up, and I need you. Flexibility will be your friend, I promise. Relationships and flexibility are two really good strategies for your toolbox. And don't be in a hurry. You know who cares about your schedule?
You.
None of the children in your classroom. And sometimes you don't even care about it, right? People above you care about it. And here, there are a lot of people above you. There's not one, and then an owner. It's, right? Isn't there like 27 people above? Yeah. So, I always say slow your roll. It's okay. If you don't get out at exactly the right time, it's all right, except what happens if you don't get out at the right time? You have to come in at a certain time, right? Because someone else has to go out. So then you're like, oh, and then you get panicked, like, but we have to get outside because we want our full half hour and put on your shoes. Oh my gosh. Right? And you're thinking like, Meg said don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. I'm not being in a hurry, but I will carry you out there with your underwear on. Let's go. So slow your roll, which is hard. I'm not awesome at that. Can you see where this is not? I'm almost never slow. Ever. I have a harder time with slow. Grocery store, you know, like going down the aisle like this. Yesterday there was a guy, like just like, I could have gotten out of my car in my flip-flops and run faster than he was driving. And my husband's just behind him. And I was like, would you honk or move? Like, honk at him. I think if someone's going slow, the car right behind him has the job of moving him. Like honking or flashing your lights or pulling around and making a face or using fingers that are not nice. Like, you have that job. I can't help if I'm 2 cars back, but I'm just as mad. And I don't have road rage because what if something happened, I got out and like, I hit you. And you were like, oh, you were in the training. So slow your roll. Imagine, that would be so embarrassing. So we have, okay. I just want to make sure we get to, let's skip to natural and logical consequences so we don't miss them, and then we'll go back if we need to. So a natural consequence, there are some kids who benefit from natural consequence. Natural consequence is hardest for who? Us. So if a kid, right, do we have a snack time here or is it an open snack time? You have snack time where everybody can snack at the same time. No. But when snack goes away and you did not make the choice, but when snack's away and now I'm hungry, what's the natural consequence? You're hungry, right? You go outside and it's cold out, but you didn't want to put on your coat, what's the natural consequence? Your
Parents yelling at you. Put a coat on the kid.
Right. That is the consequence for us. And I don't know how many times I've told teachers, like, we're working with natural consequences. First of all, we can't go outside if it's dangerous, so dangerous that they would get frostbite. And if they're going to get frostbite, the coat's not helping at all. And how many times do you think they're going to get outside without their coat when you say it's cold? How many times do you think they'll go out there again without it? Maybe 1 or 2 times. But if you are always saving them and you're always fighting over it, there are some kids who like to fight, and they will keep doing it. I had that little boy who always put all of his snow stuff on, forgot to put his boots on every day, and he wore slippers. He went outside, he took 1 step outside, and he looked down and he goes, oh, I forgot my boots. And I always had the boots under my arm because I knew he forgot. But if you talked to him about it, he wouldn't put them on. He would like fight you on it. So, he put on his boots, and I was like, oh my gosh, it is January. We've been doing this since October, right? Like, ugh. So one day I was like, I'm not bringing him out. There'll be a natural consequence that when you get outside, your feet are going to be cold, and you can't go off the walkway. So we go outside, he goes like this. Ow! I had my slippers on, he went like this. To look at me to get his boots. I said, oh, I didn't bring him out today. If you didn't wear your boots, you know what the rules are. You have to stay on the sidewalk. And he was like, no, I said outside. I was like, I know. It stinks. Next time you have to remember to wear your boots. I'm thinking, 3 months, buddy. It's been 3 months. So we went out and he would try to like sneak off the sidewalk. And I was like, oh, you have to stay. And we have to stay on the sidewalk. And I thought, it was 45 minutes of me being like, you have to stay on the sidewalk. Of fighting it. And I thought, I don't think it's worth it. I should have just brought out the stupid boots. Should have brought out the boots. The next day, what happened?
You put the boots on.
Put the boots on. Never, ever, ever went out in his flip-flops. In his slippers again, ever. Why? Because it stunk for 45 minutes. For him and for me. And he got to be mad about it. I just had to be like, oh, no. With my preschool voice, like, nope, you gotta stay on the sidewalk. Nope, you gotta stay on the sidewalk. I want to poke my eyeballs out. But he never did it again. And I thought, one time for 45 minutes, or I took 3 months of bringing out the boots and he still couldn't remember to put them on.
Right.
So it's a natural consequence. So, natural consequences aren't appropriate when what happens? When it's safety, right? Because if they run out into the road, the natural consequence is what?
Get hit by a car.
Get hit by a car. But you can't, that is one you can't talk to parents about. That's worse than the coat not being on. So we can't do that, and we wouldn't do that. So where do we go to after that? Logical consequences, right? So when a natural consequence is unsafe or inappropriate for helping children learn a life skill or lesson. So logical consequences, I think, are the hardest. Oh, I have to use my new erasers. No, anybody like really new school supplies? Anyone? Okay, I'm like, really?
Oh, yeah, right,
Okay,
right.
the teachers do not like school
It's
supplies.
the best.
Yep.
Best ever.
That
Or
smell is
I
amazing.
always have to take the first spoonful of peanut butter.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I'm there with you.
My
Okay.
co-teacher
I
had to
I have to
ignore
ruin
you.
the way the perfect peanut butter looks.
Yes.
No one else,
exactly.
just me.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
My co-teacher in kindergarten would be like, did we get the Teddy's bin today? And it was like a like container.
Yes.
And she'd just be like, and I was like, what are you going to do with this? She's like, I'm going to eat it. And I was like, okay. So with logical consequences, natural consequences I think are pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't mean that they're easy. Because if you didn't eat when you were supposed to eat, and I've given you warnings and now you're hungry, they're not going to starve themselves, but they might act as if they're going to die. Yes? Have you had kids like that?
Mhm.
Didn't have dinner, and they're like, but I'm so hungry, Mama, I'm so hungry. I know. You're not going to die till breakfast. I always tell my son, this is what's for dinner. I was a super picky eater, my mom did not do that with me. So, this is what's for dinner. If you don't want to eat it, that's okay. We'll make sure we have a good breakfast in the morning. You're not getting Cheerios, you're not getting, I don't know, peanut butter ball, you're not getting oatmeal, this is what's for dinner. But it has seeds on it. Yep. And you'll poop them out, so you'll be fine. Logical consequences have to have the 3 R's. So they have to be related, reasonable, and respectful. So we already talked about respectful. We talked about the respect for the kids. Just because they're smaller doesn't mean they deserve less respect. Reasonable means that I would react differently if a kid was whining than if a kid was doing something that wasn't my hot button. And if I was to pick a logical consequence, a lot of parents or teachers go up in severity because it's their hot button, right? So I'm really mad because it's whining, so I'm going to give you a more harsh consequence than if it didn't bother me that much, right? I think that's pretty natural, so you have to you have to gauge yourself when you enter that. Related means it has to be related to what's happening. I had a mom email me once and say, what do you do with a boy? And I'd been working with her boy, so I knew. What do you do with a 6-year-old who says the F word at school? And I just said, laugh, with the laughing emoji. And she said, no, really. So right now, he's in the other room folding laundry. Why is he folding laundry? Because he said the F word at school? The only way that would be logical is if you're going to process with him and you have to fold laundry. So he can fold laundry with you because you have to talk about it, and we're doing it right now while I'm folding laundry and you need to help. That's logical, because we're here and I have to get this done, and we're also processing the F word. And so what's the consequence? Well, I'm sure they gave him one at school. We're not double dipping. You don't double dip consequences. Meaning if it happens here, you don't expect the parents to do something at home. Like, well, fine, then you don't get the iPad tonight. Well, first of all, the iPad has nothing to do with whatever happened. And he already had a consequence. And so we call that double dipping. The parents would never come in and say, oh, it was a tough morning. Can you keep him inside at recess? We're like, no. Right? It's funny if it goes the other way. So it has to be related, reasonable, and respectful. So the related part is hard for people. I feel like these are easier. This is the one. It being related to what is going on. Sometimes the related part turns into the teaching consequence. So for him, this little boy who was saying the F word in school, I said, why did he say it? She said, because he was mad. So I'm sure he met the consequence at school. I don't know if it was natural or logical, but it probably happened. So what are you doing at home? The teaching consequence. What do you do when you're mad in a place where you can't say the F word? What other things can you do? And then you're going to teach it through other things like puppets, or if you watch a movie and TV together, you can talk about, right, somebody doing something similar to what happened to you. You can read books. I think it's always, I always pick out things like this for my son. So if we're at the grocery store and there's a kid falling apart in the grocery store, I'd be like, oh, what do you think happened there, bud? My son, because we talk about this all the time, he's like, he's probably mad. I said, oh, is that the way you act when you're mad in public? He's like, no. I said, what else could he be doing? So right, I'm teaching him right now, what else can you do when you're in public? But if it's always on you and you're always like, look at my face, and right, you're in trouble in public all the time, and it's always, the teaching consequence is always on you, it doesn't stick as well. Where, right, my son can process, because why? What brain is he in processing this? It's a logical brain, right? Where if it's him, it's what?
Emotional.
His emotional brain. So he's like, oh, he could have done this, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Right, we wouldn't do it so they can hear us, and it's not loud. And we're not being disrespectful to the people having a hard time. But we are processing that. So that's, a teaching consequence then takes what? Your two best friends. Time and patience. The kids have to learn the skill, and then they have to be a habit for them to access that skill first. So with this little boy, he said the F word when he was mad. So he said he needs emotions regulation, is what I was working with him on in the other school before he went to public school. He got mad, and he would say, like,